Hey, and welcome to episode 19. Episode 19.
What?
Yeah, of Grit Daily Dose with E
Oh, look at us
squared.
go.
Um, with myself, EJ, and the amazing.
Emma.
Yeah, I totally forgot that you have your handle, your Instagram handle on yours. And for some reason, when I got on the computer
Your,
today, you need to
I feel like
retype
yours
your.
reverts back.
It does. I don't
That's odd.
know why.
Uh,
I'll figure it out.
I was gonna.
What if I do it? Oh, here we go.
Every time the intro comes on, I feel so cool, and then I just laugh because it makes us look so much cooler than we actually are.
Hey, now
We look like super like. "Ugh." All right,
we're pretty
you're
cool.
cool. I just give it. I'm
Uh,
always the humble one of the friendship.
all right. On that note, we're gonna get this rolling. Get her off topic instead of keep grilling me. All right. Again, welcome guys to Great Daily Dose with E Squared. We try to be a one-stop shop for all things science and experience-based knowledge, whether it's on supplements, nutrition, exercise, and or lifestyle. Really to bring you guys an honest education to help you along the way towards whatever goals you have. I consider us experts in these fields, but we don't know everything. So if you have
Yeah,
questions, feel free to reach out. And if we don't know, we will look it up and then go from there. Because
give
we're
it a
always about educating
goog.
ourselves. Yeah, a goog. But today
That's
we're
where I
talking about
start.
cravings and diet pitfalls, especially this time of the year. This is
Yeah.
where a lot of people start to veer off track just a bit, um, and start letting additional cravings with especially the sweets, and even the salty and savory stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's especially around the holidays that we end up putting our health and wellness to the wayside and go for those, which is totally fine to indulge in moderation. Uh, I mean, I said something this weekend that because I was in a wedding this weekend,
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
willing to sacrifice my body to create memories. So, or my goals a little bit, sacrifice my goals for memories. Well, mainly because there's like alcohol involved, and I was like, sacrifice my body for good memories. Um, and they
Well,
were
I
good
think
memories.
there's a difference between um this is all kind of correlating to like why January and like the first month of the year and the New Year resolution is so big. It's because people they either like completely throw their diet off to the wayside when holidays are around,
Hmm.
which if
Hmm.
you're being really strict, like if we're counting even Halloween, there's like 3 or 4 days that are really like holidays in a 4 month or 3 month period. So I always ask people, I'm
Yeah.
like, why are you waiting? Maybe they decided before Halloween in October that they want to get their health on track. And they're like, yeah, but I'll just wait till the new year. I'm like, so you're going to let 4 days of holidays push you back 3 months.
Right.
So, so I like talking about how can we like I was laughing with a coach buddy today because we were just talking about how like one side or the other humans can be. We can be either be like literally nothing at all or nothing. And it's like, can we just find a middle road where it's like, yes, I'm gonna diet or fix my diet or clean up my eating or whatever over the holidays, but I'm still gonna
Hmm.
figure out how to eat, right? And that's such a good lesson. I think we talked about it 2 weeks ago on our last episode. Like do it when it's tricky because then you learn all of the ins and outs and you learn how to just have a moderated relationship with food, especially during the time where it's kind of the hardest time of the year. So um, I just find it funny how like when people are so worried about the holidays, they push it till the new year, and I'm like, it's only like a couple days. You might be eating a little bit not great, but it's not the end of the world. You could still do great on all the other days of December or November or whatever. So I like all the tips that you have coming up because it's a great way to think about eating, especially holiday season. So
Yeah. And so when we like want to help to avoid some of those pitfalls, which are either not eating in proper portions or not really balanced. Really, that's what I would refer to as pitfalls in diet. Just not eating to our goals. But some ways we can help avoid that. And so, some tips that I have for mindful eating when it comes to cravings. Tip one, super helpful. Establish a regular eating routine. So ensure that you're getting in breakfast, lunch, dinner, and some snacks. Or if you're doing fasting, make sure you're sticking to that. Um, establish a routine and stick to it. And keep yourself accountable to it, which that's also when a coach comes in and keeps you piece of candy to help you stay accountable to that. So having an established routine can help you avoid those cravings when you have that foundational structure or schedule built into your lifestyle. You got anything on that?
Um, I think it's establishing an eating routine is also the easiest way to, like, especially if you're traveling, your body to adapt during travels, and
Mm,
yeah, like avoid getting in situations where you're not eating for a long time, and then when you finally do get to eat, you're so hungry that you don't invest time in making a healthier meal, so then you just like go for the quick snacks. And then, I mean, this same thing can apply with like healthy habits or exercise or, you know, time with friends and family. Like if you like scheduling things in is, especially nowadays, really the only way that things can happen. So you can approach it just like you would schedule a doctor's appointment, like schedule your time to eat. Um,
mhm.
Especially if you're a coach like us. Like I've done that a couple
Oh,
times in a couple weeks where I schedule literally back to back to back, and I'm coaching 5 straight hours, and I'm like, halfway through, I'm like, I'm so hungry. So scheduling time to eat, to work out, like I put it in my calendar, and that helps so much. Because then, I
mhm.
don't schedule it in that time, so I literally have no excuse. So, um, if you're someone who lives by the Google Calendar, way to do it. So,
I feel like I have like there's like three different programs I use to help structure my life, and it still doesn't always go
yeah,
100%.
yeah, not every
So
day is
when
perfect,
it
right?
right, so when we are in a situation where maybe we're having those cravings, that kind of diverts to tip two. Ask yourself, why am I having this craving, or why do I want
Mhm.
to eat? Um, is it the fact that I am actually hungry? And then you can think about, have I actually eaten enough today? And then you get back to like, is my schedule off?
Yeah.
Or is it one of those late night cravings for something sweet and salty or savory, whatever it may be? So kind of a method that I talked about in one of my other series, podcast series with the gym, is using what's called the pause method. When it comes to an action maybe you want to take. So P stands for uh, pausing between the urge to eat and actually eating. Take a few mindful breaths, like bring yourself to center. Okay, I'm going to actively think about what's going on right now. I'm not just going to react
Mhm.
to the craving. And then A, assess your hunger. Am I actually hungry, or maybe am I bored? Have I not drank enough water? Is that the situation as you take a sip of yours? Um,
Lots of
so it
these
could
every
be,
day.
yeah, it could be one of those situations. As you're assessing, then you get to the U, which is understand. Okay, what's triggering me to want food? If I'm not actually hungry, whether it's thoughts, feelings,
Mm,
um, or emotions. Some
mm.
people they use food as oh
Coping.
a sense, or I guess coping. Yes, that's
Hmm.
perfect. A coping mechanism when it comes to loneliness or anger or whatever, or even happiness.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, honestly, I feel
we,
like a lot of it is happiness because, like, happy family gatherings, friend gatherings, all of it is so based around
this
food.
time of year, yeah, for
Hmm.
sure.
So,
And then it gets to the S, which is sit with the feeling. So now that you've recognized the feeling or what's going on, it's sit with it and give it some time. Maybe it will dissipate. You'll get distracted if you're like me, semi ADD, just get distracted with something else, or you'll recognize that okay, this is what's going on, and maybe you'll satisfy the need through something else, and moving forward, then you can plan for these future triggers, and that kind of gets in the E, which is evaluate what works to um, work through these triggers or through these
mhm,
cravings, and then notate it, set a reminder, um, and because you'll want to repeat that when it comes when it comes those cravings come in the future, especially when you're successful at crushing those cravings mentally. Um, there's always the option to find alternatives if it is something that
mhm.
I this craving so bad that I need to eat something because or else
Yeah.
I'm going to start eating the furniture. Um, and so maybe it's like something on the healthier option. We'll talk about that here soon. And the
Yeah.
last actually full tip. So that's the pause method. And so once you've number one, establish a regular eating routine. Okay, if we're still in a
Mhm,
situation where we're having a craving, that's when we get to the pause method. After that, tip three, the last one I have, has worked for me for sure in the past, is get up and move around. Go do something. That I know us as coaches can help actually hurt you at times, but it can be
do too
helpful
much.
to get your mind off of food. So go for a walk around the block, especially if you've just finished a meal. And maybe you're feeling like I'm not really full. You've already drank water. I'm still not feeling full. I still have these cravings. I want something sweet after I just had dinner. Go walk around the block. Go walk around the house 10 times. I don't know. Go do push-ups, air squats, walk the stairs,
Mhm,
whatever. Move around, do laundry, you name it. Try to get your mind off of the craving. And again, if it gets too much, then we'll talk about maybe some healthier alternatives and just
mhm.
coming to terms with what you're processing. But
Yeah.
that's what I have for my initial three tips when it comes to mindful eating and cravings.
Yeah.
But I'll turn over to Emma.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to play off that for a couple points. Trying to remember all the points I had. A lot of it was one of the best tricks I've ever had if I'm really struggling with getting my eating right is I just remove what
Mhm.
I should not, quote unquote, be eating from the house. I just get rid of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And the hard part is we do have kind of a society and a lot of a lot of coaches really like to, and I think it's important, really like to be like, carbs and sugar are okay. Like you're not the worst person ever for wanting them, right? Like, and that's the way we want to coach. But the reality is like, like super processed foods, sugar, like all these things aren't good for you, right? Whether we can have them or not and learn how to live with them, which I think is important. The reality is we really shouldn't be having them at all in a perfect world. So the what I've been able to do and have been working on is like if I can pretty much keep as much processed food out of the house as possible, the more success I have in reaching for a better option when I do have cravings. Does it work all the time? No, because of course, there's a lot of people in my house that don't eat mainly whole foods like me, right? So there is going to be those temptations here and there. Um, but the kind of other offshoot of that is like if you do get to a point where your house is pretty clean, but you really want like a Dairy Queen Blizzard, like those were the things that was the thing I always wanted. It's like want to go get ice cream. I took my time and I would wait like upwards of an hour a lot of times. Like, what do I really want that, or am I bored? Should I just go to sleep? And most, like, I would say it was a fairly half and half, 50-50 of like, yeah, I'm going to go and I'll go with some friends and make it like a fun thing. Um, or, oh, I'm just, I'll have a second dinner if I'm really hungry, things like that, or I'll just go to sleep. So yeah, a lot of my cravings too, um, that like assess your hungry or your hunger. Are you hungry? Are you bored? Are you stressed out? Are you emotionally triggered? I know that as a mom that sometimes gets overstimulated, I'll eat when I'm like trying to disassociate because I'm like my brain is on all day and like the kids are crying and I just like need food because I feel like everything's going crazy. The other really big thing is I'm trying to remember exactly where, but I read a study where not only your recovery is very affected by poor sleep and little sleep, but also your tendency to crave foods that are bad for you
Mm-hmm.
drastically increases when you don't sleep enough. So I'll have to find that study. I can't remember even where I read it, but um, really, really interesting. Like it shot up in the graphs that I was reading. So make sure you are sleeping enough. Make sure you are managing your stress well. So um,
You're definitely on the right track with that. If I remember correctly, is that a lack of sleep will increase your stress hormone or
mhm,
cortisol, which directly correlates to ghrelin and leptin.
mhm,
And so it will increase your ghrelin because your body's not wanting to completely relax, so it feels like it's in a semi-awake state.
yeah,
Um, so therefore, it activates the ghrelin hormone periodically, and it's in a weird way to where it makes you not want like I don't want steak or chicken or veggies. I want the saltiest, sweetest, easiest thing,
mhm,
something that will crush whatever craving I'm having.
mhm.
So, all right, I'll let you continue.
No, that's great. That's a good reminder because I think it was in my nutrition cert that we had read over kind of a study about how sleep does affect um,
Yep.
how you crave food. It's crazy. So those are just a couple of the things. And honestly, sometimes when I crave something, I'll just either, like I said, if it's late at night, I'll just go to bed. The other thing is maybe I just need a nap. Maybe I just need like a nice big,
Yep.
glass of water and just take a snooze. Half the time that solves my problem. So, especially for females who menstruate, that's a big thing. So my tip usually is kind of falling into kind of my side of things. A couple notes that I took. Are you eating enough protein? Okay. Eat your lean body weight
Mm.
in grams of protein per day. We've talked about this plenty of time. I tell women that when I crave chocolate or a bunch of sweets, it's usually solved by just eating a little bit of red meat, lean red meat. Um, I'll eat a couple ounces of steak, no problem. So, like literally, I just did that. Probably between the hours of like 5:30 and 7, I was craving like every sugary food I've ever had in my entire life, and then I just had a giant piece of steak, and I'm good. So usually, my theory is that there's just nutrients in steak that and iron and things like that in steak that women need. And then especially add in maybe the time of your cycle and things like that. Then just make sure you're supplementing your diet with some nice red meat. Um, and then kind of playing off of that, what do your micro and your macro nutrients look like? So of course, your macronutrients, carbs, protein, and fats, those are really, really important. However, the quality of food matters a lot too. So, what do your micronutrients look like? Um, they have a huge impact on hormonal health, daily energy, your mood. Autoimmune health is a big one too. So, I know that like I've recently been trying, keyword trying, a little bit of liver here and there because it's so micronutrient dense. It tastes like meat flavored styrofoam, but it's horrible. So I think I might start supplementing it. But I've just read a lot into the nutritional impacts of liver. So that's just one of the things to kind of start paying attention to. And there's a really good app that I started using called Chronometer. You ever heard of it?
Mm-mm.
No. So I like it a
No.
lot. It's I like it better than my Fitness Pal, I think, because you can do a lot of good things on Chronometer and not have to pay for it like you do on my Fitness Pal. But it shows you, it really breaks down all of your nutrients, and then you can share it with the coach, and then they can see how you're eating, things like that. So, um, so I kind of we talked a little bit about mindfulness. So you know, just why are you craving something, right? So for me, being mindful about my cravings helped me figure out, oh, red meat pretty much eliminates almost all of my craving.
Yep.
Um, and then my big tell is if I'm like, oh, I want this, and my brain goes, okay, you need red meat because we know this. And I'm like, ooh, I do not want red meat right now. Then I just know it's like a momentary craving that's gonna go away. And I think our society has such a hard time with just being a little uncomfortable for like a long time and denying yourself what you want sometimes. Sometimes it's just part of life.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah.
So don't feel like you have to like give yourself everything. I mean, just giving in. And so one of my questions usually is I ask people, is it a craving problem or is it a willpower problem? Like there are so many people I know that like will avoid putting them in situations because they don't have any willpower. They cannot say no.
Mm.
And that is something that you have to practice. It's a skill. I was at an event a couple weekends ago, and there was a table longer than a dessert table should be ever, and it was filled with like literally every type of dessert you can think of, every single type of cake, every single type of cheesecake, every single type of cookie, sugar for a mile long. I swear it was so long. And I sat right next to the table, and I didn't have a single bite of anything. And even my 4-year-old sat with me. She had a piece of cake, a bite of cake, and was like, "Ooh, too sugary, don't want it," which is crazy to me. But all that, I think that's what's like we've gotten into the rhythm of not really adding sugar into our day. Like we eat, pretty much meat and veggies. I've never pressured her to eat that way. Um, she usually joins me today. She ate mac and cheese and eggs for dinner. So it's a very balanced life.
That's a combo.
Yeah, I know, right? So, all that to say, like, a lot of people just don't trust themselves to say no and be okay with it. You're not
Hmm.
missing out on anything. If anything, you're gaining so much more. So, um, this is relevant to not only sugar, but alcohol and, just other bad habits. So be able to say no. Um,
Yep.
And then the last thing a couple of the last things, like remove the shame from eating. So if I am sitting at home and I try the red meat thing and it's, a weekend night, so I'm up a little later and I'm like, oh man, I really want that cereal, right? If I think about it and I want that cereal for more than an hour, okay, that's fine. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to turn on the lights. I'm going to pull a bowl and a spoon on the table. And I'm going to pull out the cereal and the milk, and I'm going to put the cereal in first, like you should. Don't be putting the milk
The
in
crazy
first.
people that
Don't be
put the
putting the
milk in
milk in
first.
first.
I
And
guess if you don't want as much cereal, losers.
yeah, there you go. So I'm going to be filling that bowl up. And maybe if you want to measure it and just make it, if you measure cereal and do the actual serving size, you realize how much crap is in cereal. 'Cause you're like, it's like 2 bites. Great. So, but measure it out, do an honest serving size and sit there and eat it one bite at a time. Place your spoon down, eat between each bite. Like take your time, remove the shame. Okay. Don't
Hmm.
be like, oh, I really want, Captain Crunch and go hide in the closet and just shovel handfuls from the like. It's not a shameful thing to occasionally want sugar. It's normal. Okay. All of us have grown up pretty much addicted to sugar. It's not an easy thing to stay away from all the time. So breathe, lay it out. Don't be shameful. I think I really resonate with this because I grew up sneaking sugar and crap food for years. So I still sometimes find myself, not even on purpose, in the pantry, like digging through something. And I'm like, what am I, like, this is my house. Eat what I want when I want to. Like, I bought this, so it's okay. It's normal. It's never all or nothing. Some days are going to be rough. Some days are going to be awesome. Um, we're all human. There's only so much we can do, right? So, uh, yeah, there's a couple last points, EJ, if you wanted to talk
Oh,
about
you
those.
kind of
Or
touched some of them. So
okay.
it's like when if you are going to decide to have that treat or that
Mm,
whatever craving it may be, like you said, portion it out, um, eat it in something that is a portion controlled environment,
mm-hmm.
not right out of the container or the bag, or whatever it may be. You said take time between your bites, enjoy it. Like you, not that it's a guilt thing, but like you have acknowledged, I want this. So if you're going to take the time to get out the equipment to eat it or utensils to eat it, enjoy it.
Yeah.
And you know it's something that you do not typically eat, so enjoy it. And then something to help you out to kind of process it and help get your mind off of it is, and again, you said drink water while you're having it. That way it can help not only slow down the eating of it, but can help you get your mind off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that was really, and like the thing to help you really deter from those cravings, and you kind of again mentioned it as your lifestyle, is eating more balanced meal. Pay attention to macronutrients, and make sure you're getting enough protein. Little nerdy point of that is if you are getting enough protein, especially to support your, not only your lifestyle or your health, but to support your lifestyle, especially if you're someone that is training. uh,
Mm-hmm.
Protein is the most energy dense macronutrient. It requires the most energy to break down from your body. So eat more
Sir.
of it. Your body will be focused on breaking it down more versus carbohydrates or fat that actually tend to digest pretty quickly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why if you eat something that is carbohydrate heavy and not matching enough protein with it, you're more likely to be hungry afterwards. Even if it's a
Mm-hmm.
salad, you could eat a heavy salad, a giant bowl of lettuce and veggies, and more than likely, you're probably going to be hungry within an hour and a half because it's a lot of water and fiber.
Mm-hmm.
So add some protein to it to help slow down the digesting process.
Yeah.
But I think overall, you have something.
I was just gonna say that's why usually protein takes so much energy to digest that, like, if you eat a ton before you work out or anything like that, don't be surprised if you feel a little sluggish during your workout. It's usually why they say,
Mm,
just like eat a banana or just something quick carb to get the
yeah.
energy, but doesn't take a bunch of energy to digest. So, and then the last thing, if I'm ever dealing with something where I'm craving, kind of two things. If I'm craving like a bunch of salt, I'll just take salt with water. I'll just
Blech.
so I used to do when I was training a lot and I was sweating a bunch. Um, my craving for salt would go up, so I would do a fourth teaspoon of iodized salt every morning. I would just toss it back and chase it with water, and I would make sure that my potassium. That's why chronometer is really good because you can track everything really well. Um, but I would make sure my potassium, my magnesium, all that stuff is balanced. If you're really like don't want to do that, you could get the element packs. So those are great ways to make sure you're getting little micronutrients. And then my other trick is that if I'm really craving like sweets or just having a hard time, get some teas that you like loose leaf or bag tea. And then there's lots of like sugar alternatives to add to your tea. Just make sure you're not filling it up with a bunch of sugar or anything like that, or cream and
Mhm.
things. I use like liquid monk fruit drops in my
Yeah.
tea, and it makes it super sweet. And that's I have a whole tea cabinet. I love it. So, and I drink that especially during the holidays when it is, you want to be warm. But my favorite thing to do when I'm just really struggling with my appetite and I'm just like wanting to eat a bunch of crap, I just get a nice cup of tea and play with the kids or go on a walk with with a warm mug in my hand and just kind of get moving. And that helps me feel like at least I'm getting a sweet treat from the tea, but also I'm getting moving. So I'm not so focused on my cravings. So all that kind of goes back to like, is it a craving problem or are you just having a hard time saying no?
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Well, I think kind of to wrap everything up, unless you got everything.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Nope.
Okay. So kind of wrap it up. When it comes to dealing with cravings and diet pitfalls, it's kind of getting into those first three tips that we talked about, establishing a regular routine to kind of help steer you away from that. If it does happen to evolve into a craving, um, then you can follow that pause method. And then even at the back end of that pause method, the last tip that we had was get up and move around, do something like you said to get your mind off of it. Um, but then, like you talked about, having a balanced nutrition, eating balanced meals, making sure you're eating enough protein, follow proper macronutrient balance, and that you're eating enough throughout the day. Um, Also recognizing whether it's an actual craving problem or if it's more of a mental willpower situation.
Mm.
But if you are going to have it, remove the shame, accept it's okay to have it. It's like you said, it's never an all or nothing. You can't be perfect. And
Hmm.
especially if it's around having or creating memories and
Yeah.
holidays. Enjoy it.
If
Enjoy it
any
while
of
it's
you
here.
guys are tracking macros on December 25th,
We got to
unless you
talk.
have like a bodybuilding show on the 27th, that's where I would understand. But like, it's one day a year,
Yeah.
chill out.
It's 4 days. Like you said, it's only
But
four
yeah,
days.
4 days. And then maybe you add in a couple other holidays throughout the year. So, and then a couple traveling days, right? So it's like 2 or 3 weeks of maybe eating bad,
Yeah.
right? Like not great food. I'm sure there's
More
going to be an
relaxing.
accumulation of
Yeah.
other days where we don't eat enough or we eat whatever. But for the
Hmm.
most part, there's a couple days of the year that you're just going to not eat well, and that's fine. You're not going to die.
Right.
You'll be okay.
Right. Someday you'll die. Someday.
Someday.
Someday you'll
Someday.
die. But you're not going to die
An
because of that.
interesting day. Yeah. Oh, speaking of died, have you ever seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
The Captain Holt, what's his name? He died.
Really?
Yeah, he's only 61.
Of what?
I don't even know. I just saw it quickly today between coaching. And I meant to do more research on it.
We'll look into that after the episode. Thanks for taking the time today,
We'll come
guys,
back
to
next
hang
week.
out with us. We're talking about cravings and diet pitfalls, and we will catch you all on the next episode. See you guys later.
Bye.